One of the great artists and inventor of all time, Leonardo da Vinci, was also famous for taking detailed notes. Great thing about taking notes is you don't have to remember everything, and actually trying to remember things is a waste of your creative potential. So it's really important that we all should free our minds from the burden of remembering things so that it can actually focus on a creative work. Then how do we remember all the learning that we got while reading a books, listening to podcasts, watching an interview, or maybe just random ideas? Hey everyone, I'm Prashik, and today I will talk about the book Second Brain, which exactly solves the problem of how to be good at note taking. I'm going to divide this video in three parts: concept of second brain, framework, code and para, and application of para. So let's start with the concept of second brain. In simple words, a second brain is a place where you can keep all your notes and learnings in one place so that you can revisit it again and actually go through all your other learnings. There are multiple ways you can build your second brain. It can be simple notebook, your phone or your laptop. But in today's time, we have multiple apps at our disposal that you can use for building a second brain. So without going into minute details about what this book covers, let me explain the important frameworks this book covers, right? Number one, framework, that is a code and para. So code, it means capture, organize, distill and express. This framework is built on a fundamental assumption that we should first clearly know for what projects of your life you are going to use the notes that you are taking. That is the first principle that's basically built on. So according to this framework, you shouldn't be taking random notes and adding it in the random places, as spending time in taking notes only makes sense if you're going to apply those notes somewhere, right? Now the application use case can be different for a different people. You may want to use those notes for writing LinkedIn post or for writing a book, for design ideas for your website, and list goes on, right? In a simple terms, it depends person to person. Now the code framework is divided into two parts. Part first is the diversion and part two is the conversion. First part of the code, that is capture and organize, makes up a divergence. This part is about gathering information and then storing that in a secure place. This is where you search, explore and add ideas. Here your focus is simply on adding information in one place. That's it. Second part of the code framework is convergence, that is distill and express. At this stage, you will start creating something new based on the notes that you've taken earlier. Hence the word express. Now let's talk about the second framework, that is a para, right? So para stand for project, area, resource and archives. Now this framework tells you how exactly you should build your second brain. Before explaining this framework, let me first explain how I generally used to take a notes, right? And it's quite possible that most of you are doing the same, who knows. So earlier I was using a Notability to keep all my notes in one place, but in Notability I have created folders according to the areas of my life. Just giving some example of the folder. Examples are like the art, company, music, books, learnings, investment, marketing, etc. Now, one of the biggest problem of creating such folders is that these are not action based. Like, it will be very hard for you to apply these notes in a real life, as you may end up adding so much notes in these folders, but when you require, you will see you have too many things added in these folders. It will be very difficult for you to search what you need at the moment. Also, how to judge what things you should actually add in your folder. That also is a big problem, right? You simply don't want to add everything under the sun in your notes folder. So, para framework solves exact same problem. Para is based on actionability based note taking. It's like take notes where you clearly know how and in which projects you are going to use these notes for, right? So according to para, create your folder structure in this sequence: project, area, resource and archives. Project. In the project, add projects, major and important task on which you are working currently. So here you clearly knows start and end date of the projects. Example of the project can be a complete web page design, buy a new computer, write research report, complete a book draft, right? Now let's understand what is area means. Area of responsibility, these are the things that you can add, there's a thing you're responsible for, but they're long term and ongoing. So some of the examples for areas are work responsibilities such as marketing, human resource, product management, research and development, direct reports and engineering. And second can be the personal responsibilities such as health, finance, kids, writing, car or home, right? Now let's understand what is the resource folder. Resource, it covers mostly all type of other information, but largely covers topic that you are interested in and learning about. So basically whatever you're trying to learn right now, right? Examples are writing, graphic design, philosophy, language, art and note taking. Now let's understand the fourth folder, that is the archives. Everything from about three categories, that is finished, that complete or no longer active, can be added to the archives. Examples are project you are completed or put on hold, areas that you are no longer active or relevant, resource that you are no longer invested in. Now let's move to the third part of the video, that is application of para and how you can exactly build second brain, right? Now most important question for application of para and actually building a second brain is what tool to use, right? Which note taking app should you be using, and should it be Reminders or Apple Notes, Google Keep, Notion, Notability, Google Sheet or any other tool, right? And what if you are using a multiple tool for a multiple reason? The method I'm going to explain is going to help you build second brain, which you can use on your mobile and even on your iPad or on your laptop, right? So first thing first, add all important note taking and learning apps in a folder and rename it as a My Second Brain or any other name if you want to. So here you can see I have added Notability, Notion, Reminders, Apple Notes, Kindle, Freeform and Uptime Books, right? First of all, make sure to create a folder structure of the apps according to para, whatever app it makes sense, right? Now let's see how you can take a notes according to every use case by following code framework. First step is the construct. Here you are simply playing with the new ideas and you do not necessarily know where you are going to maintain these ideas or points. In such cases, simply add these random ideas and reminders or record memos or create idea board on a free form, right? A second step is organize. Here you can use Notability or Notion or any other app, but make sure to create a folder structure according to the para and basis on the para framework, update your notes in the respective folder. Third step is distill. I use Notability even for this stage. So in the Notability, I create one page for any task or area by the name application. So if I am pursuing course related to the growth hacking, then along with the taking notes for that course, I also take a notes what all things I can basically apply in my current organization. A fourth step is express. Now this is a step where I create something new using a notes that I'm adding in the Notability. For this, the main tool that I use is Apple Notes. For example, currently I'm writing a video script on Apple Notes only. So not just a video script, but I do all my creative work on Apple Notes, like writing a LinkedIn post and book drafts, etc. Okay, now let's try to learn how we can implement Para framework to the any app that we are using, right? So I'll open the Notability. So this is the app that I'm using for taking all the notes. So here at the left side you can see at the top there is a project and then area, then resource and then archives, right? Under the project you'll see there are multiple projects that I'm currently working on. For example, I'm working on a book. I'm working on this one course, B2B marketing. Okay, now let's see how we can implement Para in any note-taking app that we are using. So for that, I'll give an example of Notability, right? So in Notability, at the left side, you can see there are multiple. So four different are divided into the four parts. That is the project, area, resource, and archives, right? All the notes are divided into the four parts. Under the project, I'll list down all the projects that are currently working on. For example, the writing a book, I'm working on the book, and there are multiple other projects that I'm currently working. So this is first. Second, just check on the area. So in area, you can divide it into two parts: professional commitment and personal commitment. And On a professional commitment, you can just you can just take notes of related to the company that you're working in. And second is the personal commitment. For example, here you can see there are multiple, for example, learning commitments I have some plan for YouTube. So that all I have covered it here. Now third is resource. Under resource, most of the things that you're going to cover are going to be related to the learnings. So here you can see the growth hacking, cybersecurity, problem solving, tax, investment, guitar. Uh, so these are the basic folders, right? That comes under the resource. The archives means uh, any project that is basically complete, you're simply going to add that into the archives. So that's the idea. So that's it. Basically, this is how you're going to structure your folders in any of the app that you're using. Sometimes it's not possible, but wherever it's possible, just create a folders according to this. Now, second most important part is now you have multiple apps. If let me just show you. If I show you the yes, the folder, you can see the second ring. This is the folder that I have created. And in this folder, you'll see the Notability, voice memos, reminders, uptime, Notions, Kindle, Apple Books, Notes, and Freeform, right? Now the question is, if you come up with any idea, or if you have any notes that you want to take, uh, where you're going to add that? Uh, are you going to add that in Notability? Are you going to add the Notion? Are you going to add the reminders? Are you going to add that in a notes? So that is the basic question, right? We generally use multiple apps. So for that, I have created, for example, I'm just giving you an example. For that, I created the simple hierarchy of taking the notes and adding the notes into particular apps. So I'll just open a free form, right? So here you can see this is according to the code framework. C is a construct, O is organize, D is distill, and E is express. Now, how I do? So generally, whenever I come up with any idea, and it is just an idea. So in that case, I don't basically go and write it in the Notability. I simply add that note on the reminders, or maybe on a voice memos, or maybe if there's just the idea and I'll just how to visualize it, then I'll do it on a free form. For example, I'm currently the structure I'm showing you is on a free form. So that's how I do it, right? If I just show you the reminders, one sec. Yeah. So on the reminders, you can see there are different folders: finance, work, business, personal notes, and stuff like that. So there are different folders, and in the book you can see that you can create a tags, and you can simply just drop any idea that you have. Drop any idea. For example, here I just added there was I'm working on one framework and one idea, or second is like I'm just come with the one chapter idea. So I simply added the chapter idea here and just roughly just added down something about that idea, right? So that's the idea. So you don't have to be very you don't have to think a lot about it. You simply add whatever the idea that comes into your mind to the reminders, and later you can then properly organize it. So the first is reminder, and then if there's idea that needs to be visualized, then you can use a freeform or maybe other app if you are using that. Click. Second is organize. In organize, you need to create a proper structure. So Notability or Notion can be a proper app for organizing entire notes that you have. So I just showed you on the Notability, there are multiple folders that I have, right? You can just show you in the area in the personal commitments. You can see uh, so goals and all, a lot of things I have added into in the Notability. So this is how you're going to organize all the notes. A second is this similar you can do on a Notion. So the structure is going to be the same. And now the distill is like uh, you're trying to understand how you're going to use the note, right? So for that again, I use the Notability. So I'm just to give you the example of let's say if there's a project and if I'm working on a B2B marketing. So this is the notes, right? I was doing the video marketing course from the growth school, and this is basically the notes that I have created. But now it is not just notes, but how you're going to apply those notes. So I have one page where I'm just added the how I can apply basically. So it is simply the ideas that I can come up with and simply add it in the application folder. So this is called distill, how you're going to distill the idea on the notes. Now, second, last part is again, this is express. How you going to express it? The whole point of taking the notes is uh, actually using it for something, right? Maybe application or something. That is the idea for whole point of taking the notes. Now for that I use Apple Note. You can use other tool, but yes, I use Apple Notes, and then I'll just show you how I do it. So in the Apple Notes, even you'll see the structure of the folders are the same. At the left side, you can see that the project, there's area, the resource, and the archives. And under the project, you'll see, yeah, there are multiple projects that are book, YouTube, and post social. So I'll just show you the book. So either book, you can see, for example, this is the progress tracker. So this is kind of, you do the like a project management, right? Uh, for example, what is the timeline of the book when I'm going to publish the book, and then what is the table of content, what are the things that I'm going to cover in the book, and whether draft is ready, whether I'm going to review the draft, stuff like that. So this is mostly uh, this is the one idea. Second is like I'm thinking of book cover ideas. So those again I'm added it here. So stuff like that. So that you can do it in the uh, that I basically do in the notably in the notes, right? So yeah, so that's how you can actually start taking the notes, start adding those notes on the reminders, and after that, those notes from the reminders, then you can properly add to the Notability or the Notion if you are using a Notion, and then in the Notion itself or the Notability itself, create a one more tab or something which express the distill part where you'll be adding the applications of it, and then at the last use something for express, maybe for note Apple Note. For me it maybe other tool use for you, like it can be just Notion. It's not like that you need Apple Notes or something, right? So that's it. That's how you're going to apply the para framework. That's how you're going to apply the code framework. And this, if you follow this way, the chances are very high that your entire note taking will be very productive. You'll be able to actually take a notes which are going to help you in the longer run, right? That's it. So this is how you can actually take a notes, right? uh, Simple, use a para framework and then code framework, and then use whatever tools that you think works for you. And but if you follow this strategy, the most if you follow this both the frameworks, the chances are very high that you'll be very pro in taking the notes, and you will be only be taking the notes that you are actually going to express in some way. Maybe you'll be using for some sort of applications in the future.